finding who you are, trying to get there.
Welcome to Social Work Sunday Tea. I am Shakia Houston. It's a great day to be alive and well. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. It's going to be an amazing show today. We have Mr. Red from Yemba. He's here. We're going to talk about Yemba. Yemba is the recipient of the 2025 Adult Prom and Fundraiser. Hey, Mr. Red, how you doing today?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on the podcast. It's an honor. It's a privilege for you to be on here to talk about Yumba today.
Yes, truly, we are definitely honored to be recipients of this year. We've been a long-standing fan of your work, and we look forward to collaborating because, the state of emergency for our youth today is now more vital and critical than ever. So we really appreciate all you do to continue to make tomorrow better for them as well.
Absolutely. So tell us about you. Let's tell us about Yumba. Let's get started with the interview. Tell us about Yumba and like what's the mission behind the organization and what all you do, how it all began.
Well, Yemba started in 2007. It really came out of a dream and aspiration of me reflecting on my life's journey and just me having, at the particular time, we called it a village, all right? A village that took the time to invest in me. And so I wanted to share some of those tools with the youth that were embedded in my life, not necessarily that I went out seeking, but through siblings, being the oldest sibling, coming from a community that is with disadvantaged and underserved youth. We always look for outlets in someone that we seek to aspire to help us to continue to dream. And so that's sort of how Yumba started. As a kid, I just reflected on my middle school teachers giving me an experience at UIC where I was able to see the world totally different. I was based off my academic accomplishments. I was able to be a part of a special summer program with kids around the nation as well as around the country. And so for the first time ever, I was able to see something outside of my four blocks, as I like to call them, where people that didn't look like me, where we were just able to learn, grow, and have a great experience.
Absolutely.
So our mission, the mission really is to empower youth mentally, physically, and spiritually. It's a lot of work, right?
Yes, it is.
When you talk about trying to empower youth, there's a lot of different dynamics that transpires. One of the biggest things is trauma that we experience not only in our homes but our communities while at school, and just trying to understand and navigate life. So Yumba was built on building tools to help them to conquer these different challenges that are going to be in front of them as they continue to matriculate down this journey. And so based upon feedback that we receive from community assessments, from our youth voices, from the families, from our mental health partners, we have really just been doing the work, not only doing the work, but also providing a team that is well competent, that comes from different walks of life that are similar to the youth, mainly BIPOC youth that we serve, but
Okay.
also as well, a lot of experience in regards to the social service and the social work field as well, because we definitely have to have the evidence-based strategies and toolbox to be able to be successful in terms of connecting with these youth.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I mean, it's definitely needed. Being a therapist and working with the adolescents and the youth, it's
Hmm.
it's something else, and it's really really needed. People that are committed and actually care. That's the thing. It and children, they know if you care or not, right? So it's kind of like just building that connection with them and like, hey, I'm here if you do need me. And so yeah, so I just I'm really really fascinated by your work that you guys do. So especially like with the mental health, right? Like what role do you play mental health play in your programming and like ensuring students and the children that you have access to emotional support that they need?
Mental health is a big part. In all of our programs, the first thing that we do is have a check-in with our kids because we need to know right then and there what type of mental state they are in. It's really a critical moment of time to either you can get it right or get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids are so swift to not have emotional control at this moment of time. So, our curriculum is based off of social emotional learning.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are real advocates of ensuring that they have tools to be able to communicate positively,
Mm-hmm.
the right way to get the right results that they seek. Because sometimes, it's hard to expect something when they don't know how to or never been trained how to. So
Yeah.
I think, you said something pivotal earlier about being able to show care, being authentically,
Yeah.
and I think that's even to be in the social services field in particular, you got to be able to read well in terms of how to connect with these young people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part of the fight, being able to meet them where they're at
Absolutely.
without any prejudice,
Yeah.
right? Um, and listening, active listening
Yeah.
is key and critical. And based off of that, we're able to determine what direction we would like to take in terms of what route, what's best served. Usually there's always one person that they had connect with more than the other based off
Mm-hmm.
similarities. And
Mm-hmm.
usually, that person is usually we like to call the gatekeeper for
Mm-hmm.
that particular student inside of our group, so to speak. And so they're always alert and aware on how the mental stage is of that kid, whether it's escalating, de-escalating, or whether it's just similar, sort of to speak. But we collectively have a variety of experience. I want to say our team presently have easy over 50 years of experience
That's
in
awesome.
house that's that have dealt with different situations. And one
Absolutely.
of the things that we consistently do is meet after every workshop that we provide
Okay.
to do what we call a SWOT analysis. It's called strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But it's
Okay.
more so creating sort of a case management scenario where we're able to deliberate about how our kids are performing. If there's
Yeah.
anyone special that needs more attention um, than what we have been able to provide. How do we connect them?
Yeah.
We're working with these school admins, we're working with their teachers, we're working with their parents just to get a better understanding how collectively together from a wraparound standpoint of view that we're sending the same message, but also learning what is working and what is not working.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's the only way that they can be successful and thrive emotionally, right? And I think that just really taking a step back and really evaluate like the determination of need and care. And so give us a day-to-day like walkthrough of what Yamba does throughout the day.
Okay, day to day, it depends on which day because we have various platforms.
Yeah.
But For our middle school platform, the kid will come in right after school. We're
Mhm.
inside of the middle schools out here in Oak
Right.
Park, and after the end of the day, they'll come running up to sign in, where there's an information table where a team member is greeting them,
Yeah.
to check their temperature. That's the first temperature stage, right? You
Yes.
check their temperature, and then the
Mhm.
youth are then able to go to our table to get a snack, right? And that is so pivotal,
It is.
because they have gone through the day, and I must admit, a lot of the kids that we are servicing are from the low to moderate
Okay.
income,
Okay.
and they're on free and reduced lunch majority, and so not all the time they're eating within the day,
Yeah.
you know. So if
Yeah.
so, it's been very minimal.
Okay.
So that snack is very pivotal to help give them some energy to even get through the rest of what we're even trying to give them,
Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of to speak.
Absolutely.
So once they are there, they're able to take a few minutes to digest and have a conversation to just simmer down, right? Because they're on a high, they're out of school,
Right.
yeah, they're waiting on the rest of the other participants to come. They may
Mhm.
want to be able to get something off their chest. So we give them just a few minutes to finish their snack and have a little brief conversation. But then from there, it goes into our check in where we're asking them to rate their day,
Mm.
right? And
Okay.
based off them rating their day, they're able to share with us whether or not what went good, what went bad.
Yeah.
And I think there's our team is trying to handle it various different ways based off of the response. Um, but the goal really is for them to be able to share something great that happened for them today. We want to infuse some good energy, some positive, So the question maybe is who got an A, right? Who got an A today? And then
Mhm.
such and such will raise their hand and we would say, okay, you got an A today. So can you elaborate what subject that is?
Mhm.
And then if they're saying math, well, we're saying, well, we know that Johnny over there is in the same grade as you. Maybe you can tutor Johnny today, or show him, what makes sense for you and how you're able to do the problem so great or so well. So it
Yeah.
becomes a learning and teachable moment for us to
Yeah.
also help gear them up to be able to know that you are valued, and regardless of where you're at in terms of age, you are able to help someone else too. And
Absolutely.
even though not all the time we're in the same stance, but we're a community. This
Absolutely.
is safe. It's a vulnerable space, and we're here for each other and to hold each other accountable. So then, after they get through with that, they wrap up that, they go into a workshop, and
Okay.
our workshop is based off at this particular time 3 pillars: um, leadership characteristic development, financial literacy, which we team up with Byline Bank to come in to teach our kids financial literacy, because we know that that's one of the biggest plagues
Yeah.
the population that we serve in terms of their knowledge base. And
Yeah.
then substance abuse education. We want to get to them early
Yeah. Yeah.
before the peer pressure hits in, and
Yep.
they don't know which way to turn. So we feel
Yeah.
that as long as we're able to give them the tools necessary, they would be able to navigate and handle that situation in a positive frame of reference without, being nervous or frightened.
That's what's
And
up.
and then after the workshop, we got to give them their time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Their time, recreation, which is how the basketball initially came into play, because we
Okay.
started off with a group of boys initially. But, for me, it was more so about giving them tools that they can grow by, which came, communication, respect, self worth, values. And now we have added so much to our mentoring platform, especially around the SEL curriculum and standpoint of view. It has allowed that to taken over the recreational piece.
Yeah.
So mentoring is our home front, and it's
Okay.
our claim to fame. We do it in small group format and large group formats, and we even do some one on ones. And
Okay.
I would say inside of that, there's a tandem with our high school platform.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we deal with these youth for 3 years, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, and then they matriculate on to high
High
school.
school.
But
Okay.
we have had so much fun with us for the 3 years. A lot of times they want to stay connected. So we have to
Absolutely.
figure out another level. And that level is called our mentoring empowerment training level.
Okay.
So at this particular level, when they become juniors and seniors, we allow for them to come back to learn how to be junior mentors and mentor our middle school platform.
Awesome.
This is so pivotal, right?
Yeah.
Because the goal when we talk about leadership and leadership development, it comes with us understanding the importance of being able to help someone else that is soon to be in our footsteps.
Absolutely.
Your testimony is important. How do you get there? You never know how you're going to connect. So being able to not only provide another level of support for them around college and career readiness
Yeah.
and another level of financial literacy, we also provide them a stipendized opportunity to come in to be able to empower our middle school platform.
Oh
And
wow.
that has been the best thing ever because they connect more with them than they connect with the adults.
Yeah.
So, when you talk about
Yeah.
getting intel,
Yeah.
yeah, we able to get all the tea.
Yeah.
It works out for us a great deal, but
Yeah.
it's also about connecting the bridge, right? So
Absolutely.
our platform is based on a continuum of mentorship. So we want you in middle school to be a part. We want you in high school to be a part. We also have interns that we work with through Dominican University
Okay.
and UIC Jane Addams School of Social Work that comes in
Okay.
to help support our platform. Then we have our mentors, our
Okay.
adult mentors from various professions that come in to support. And then you have people like us, the more tenured social work people. And then we have a board that's more of our senior
Okay.
group. So, there's always two things that can happen. You're
Yeah.
able to help someone in your current footstep, but also being able to grow with those that are your peers and above you and have more experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was one of my questions, like what partnership and resources that Yumba developed to ensure, they have that wraparound support. You named half of them already.
Yeah, I named a few. I think we have a
Yeah.
lot of community partners
Yeah.
that and that's something that we really thrive to work for because we know we can't do everything, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
We're specialized in the mentorship platform, but we have different community partners such as, for example, Spilt Milk, right?
Yeah.
They come in and do nutritional
Okay.
health with our youth because we know that's one of the issues that our youth are having right now in terms of understanding how to create healthy snacks, right?
Yeah.
Cold snacks on a budget. Let's put
Yeah.
that part in on a budget, right?
Listen.
Because they know hot flamers, and
Yeah.
cheese, fries, and nachos. So how do we really
Hmm.
get them to understand the importance of what they're putting in their body at this point in time
Absolutely.
and how
Yeah.
that affects them? Um, and one of our biggest partners is the Community Mental Health Board of
Okay.
Oak Park.
Upper Park. Yeah.
They do so much to support what we're doing, not only just putting their money where their mouth is, but also connecting us with real tangible resources as it relates to mental health.
Yeah.
We're able to partner with River Edge for some professional development training
Hmm.
around different youth development, whether that's, suicide ideation, things of
Yeah.
that nature that comes into tandem because training is a continuous and
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
expectation of being a part of our team.
Yeah.
That's something that we focus on consistently because we want to be ready for what today brings. And today brings about a different change every time we
Yes.
turn on the TV.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we want to talk about District 97,
Okay.
the school
Yeah.
district itself.
Yeah.
We're not only meeting with the superintendent and the admin team, but we're boots on the ground with the in-house team in terms of the teachers, the principals, the social workers,
Yeah.
where we're working collectively to talk about how do we be a resource and how we are spreading our service to be more of a wraparound and
Yeah.
not tripping over each other to providing the same thing and
Right.
fighting for the
Yeah.
same spot, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, NAMI, how could I forget NAMI?
Yeah.
NAMI comes into when we talk about mental health, that's a big part of our network and support to
Yeah.
come in and teach our kids about their mental wellness. As youth, I don't think uh, they have the wherewithal to really understand the magnitude
Yeah.
of, of their state of mind at that particular point of age. But giving them some frame of references, giving them some testimonies where they're able to talk about their different experiences, um, is so valuable.
Yeah.
If I can give you one story, um, there's a kid that I remember so vividly when we was doing a workshop, and the workshop was around smoking at the time, and the kid was expressing that he had participated due to peer pressure and partaking into this account. And he was expressing how he felt afterwards in terms of it not being such a great experience for him. And he would never do it again. And it was the worst thing that he ever could have did. And just that moment in time was so valuable because it's one thing for us to be speaking to them and talking about, what the research have shown, but for someone to talk about a lived experience that are their peers, it holds a lot more weight and value than anything we could have ever did in that workshop.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's based off our experience. Like the things that we experience, it shapes our mental state. Like, oh, I don't want to do that again, or I don't want to experience that again, and like be serious about that thing, And sometimes we do have to experience things to actually get the full effect.
That
That's
part is true.
exposure. Yeah.
But at what cost, And
Yeah.
so, we're doing our workshops. There's always a risk factor, right? So, what is it costing you to experiment in this realm? And one of the things we talk about right now, so vitally important, is social media, right?
Yeah.
And how that shapes our depiction of what life should really look like, and
Right.
how we should present ourselves and how we should expose ourselves.
Yeah.
But, without having the right guidelines and understanding of the impact that it makes, it's hard for us to truly um, give them what they need in the right moment of time. We're talking with the principals. You're talking about people pulling their phones out in schools to record fights and things of that
Hmm.
nature. What
Yeah.
is the implication of that? What does that lead to?
Yeah.
How do you not be a starter? How do you diffuse?
Yeah.
And how do you not be a victim of
Right.
it? Really, at the end of the day, and how do we use for more positive messages? And
Yeah.
so, it's a twofold for us. We're able to show both sides of a coin, and I think that in itself allows them to make positive decisions because they know what the potential risk or outcome could possibly be.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the people that they are associated with, that makes a difference as well. If they do it in peer pressure. I never really experienced it until really, when I got older. I'm like, wait a minute, you know, that's a kid thing, but no, it's an adult thing as well. Like, you get thrown off and like that's something I wouldn't have done. And you look back like, you kind of have to evaluate yourself, but no, like all around, even dealing with the social media aspect of it is really, really, um, it's really valuable to have those conversations, those candid conversations with the youth, especially like, with Snapchat, and that's how fights start, through Snapchat. Oh, they said something, or they viewed my story, and I'm like, half the time, like, when my clients they talk to me about it, I'm like, oh, okay, now show me how to do it. Like, I have them show me, like, what are you talking about? Um, so it's a thing, and I'm glad that you guys are having those conversations and um illustrating the pros and cons of social media, because it is, even with adults,
Yeah.
they need that, so starting early makes the difference, because they have the awareness, and that's the part about it, like being aware, and also for them to be aware, they can also have, their cousins or their family be aware, because it's some children, some youth out there that educates their parents all the time. It's kind of like the parents have to fall in line once their youth has been empowered, especially having a voice, because back in the day, growing up, we really didn't have no voice. We didn't have no voice. We couldn't say nothing, and if we did speak how we felt, we speak when they word, or you being disrespectful. But it's not. And so just having that voice now, having my daughter, I look at things totally different. Being in this arena, I'm like, no, tell me how you feel, because if I'm doing something, I need to correct myself. And I think, and apologizing. Oh, that's another thing. Adults don't
Whoa,
apologize.
whoa,
And
whoa. Now, you touching something there. You touching something there.
yes, I mean, I apologize to my daughter. Even to people that I encounter. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel this way, or whatever it is. But adults, they have to be held accountable too. So that's another subject. But
But yeah, and I would say, if I can add to that,
yeah.
that's one of the things that we encourage our parents to do, is to
Hmm.
be able to have a conversation with their youth, right?
Yep.
Because if you're asking your youth, so what did you do at Yumba today? What did you learn? You get a chance to really get a full grasp of the evolution, right? Because now the kids are processing
Yep.
before just acting,
Yep.
and then they're internalizing. And not only that, you give them a chance to be able to show you their communication strength, and in terms of advocacy,
Hmm.
and identity, sort of to speak,
Yep.
and it should be a respectful platform, but
Absolutely.
within the approach that they're taking to share with you, their concerns and their
Absolutely.
because we do have some kids that talk about, their home situations
Listen, they
that
they
are
spill everything.
self-inflicted. My mom or my dad, is not standing for X, Y, and Z, and they're not
Yeah.
allowing me for this, and then we again, the goal is for us to equip them with tools on how to have that conversation out of love
Absolutely.
and positivity, and in hopes of getting them receiving, the response, whether it's not the right answer that they want, but at least
Yeah.
they would have a better understanding of why,
Yeah.
and how to move forward, and how that impacts them.
Absolutely. And like just reaching back again, right? And giving them explanations, because they deserve an explanation. It's not because I said so.
Listen.
You know, like what? Like I don't even do that. I don't even do that anymore, because I mean I had that done to me, and and it's no handbook to parenting, right? But also giving them the tools that they need. Even the parents need tools, to how to interact with this, especially this generation, and this age and this season that we're in, a climate that we're in. We have to communicate and tell them why. This is why I'm saying this, or this is why I'm doing this. You may not agree, but I feel like this would be a best fit. And also, are you communicating with with adults, right? And it's not how you say it, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I always say that, and you have to be respectful. Even with my clients, hey, you got to look now. Okay, you can say it, but it's I have them say it back to me, like, now, how would you respond if you said it like this? And they be like, "Ooh, yeah, it doesn't sound good. It
See,
don't feel good either." So we also check those emotions too when it comes down, when I ask them to say it over again. Say it like how you said it to your mama, right? And so they said it was like, "Ooh, yeah." I say, "Yeah, you need to go back and you need to apologize." All right. Just again having that connection with them and know, I tell my clients that you look, I'm on your side until I got a side at you. Like, you was okay, let's fix this. What could we do to fix this, and how could we change the mindset? So I do the positive reconstruction, and you catch it, you check it, and you change it. So if you feel like you about to
Like that.
crash out, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You feel like you about to, crash out, as they say, you gotta catch it. Because you know your emotions. You can, and the thing is emotional regulation too, and tell what it is. Not, I'm just mad. No, let's talk about these feelings, you know. So it's a great thing that you guys have that mental health support, because like a lot of people, even adults, I gotta put the adults in there too, they
Yeah.
don't know how to regulate their emotions. I'm upset, but what are you upset with? I don't know. I'm just mad. I'm just like, what are we upset and mad about, right? So learning at this age is a great, great tool. So like, and it helped them, prepare them, and that's what you guys are doing, and I love that, preparing them for adulthood,
Yeah.
to get to that plateau, so when they're adults, not saying that we're perfect, but we can regulate our emotions and
You
actually
know,
have a positive communication strategy to, be heard, and someone to listen to us instead of us, crashing out and being mouthy.
you said a mouthful there,
Yeah.
and I think that one of the places that we got to think about is our kids learn from their parents,
Oh yes.
right? That's the that those are the first teachers, right? And
The
and, and
first.
it's hard to
Yeah.
reverse something
Yeah.
that they have been accustomed to all their life in terms of how they've been shown of how to show up,
Yeah.
and I could say, we have done a disjustice with our youth, especially when um, our kids are having kids and
Yeah.
they haven't fully grown mentally to
Yeah.
be able to be mature enough
Absolutely.
to lead or guide or raise
Yeah.
a child in the right direction, because we're all fighting.
Yep.
Let's be
Yep.
clear, we're fighting, especially when you come from communities like we came from,
Yeah.
from poverty spaces with limited resources.
Absolutely.
We're trying to find out, and where it's easy to be tarnished
Yeah.
by those things that are before you. But it takes someone strong to be able to be resourceful, because we are resilient. Let's not get that wrong. We are resilient. Sometimes it takes others longer than others,
Yeah.
but it's our job to ensure and protect our village, to make sure that we're giving them the tools to be successful. And
Absolutely.
so we're based on 4 E's here. Educating, empowering, providing experiences leads to empowerment. All right.
Absolutely.
Empowerment is everything for us. And you can only get those through exposure,
Absolutely.
education, and experiences. And
Yeah.
and so it's one of those things that we have to be very intentional about what we expose
Absolutely.
our kids to,
Absolutely.
how we educate them, because we're fighting a system that have limited resources.
Yeah.
Hey,
Absolutely.
some system have greater resources, but still have other systems that doesn't allow for those resources to be equitably distributed.
Yeah.
So there's challenges all over the place, but we as adults, as parents, as leaders in our community and village, it's our duty to ensure that
Absolutely.
we're standing on the forefront for ours, to ensure that they're aware and that they're exposed to those resources.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it is a fight, especially though, like what we try to educate others, and I always say we have to unlearn to learn again,
Mm, like
all
that.
day.
Yeah.
We got to, and especially if we're aware, of a lot of things. We got to unlearn it. Though those patterns, it's hard. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
especially for the next generation and leading by example. And so, yeah, it is a good fight. It's a good fight, but we got to do it. We have to do our due diligence, especially for our youth to um, be healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally. Um, yeah, to get to the next plateau because they are the leaders. They're the future. And so, yeah,
I, I,
it's a thing.
I think that is scary. It's very scary right now, especially given the state of the economy,
Yeah,
federal space. At least when we was growing up, we had opportunities. Look, the summer is coming.
yeah,
We had opportunities to apply for summer jobs.
yeah,
That was a great deal for us, especially trying to get our first paycheck and things of that nature to help get school closing for the
yep,
upcoming school year, things of that nature.
yeah,
But those resources have dwindled a
yeah,
great deal, and so it leaves our kids that already are in a disadvantaged state. What do they turn? What do they
yeah,
do? How do they understand how to be contributing members of the society? you
yeah,
know um, and so we see all of these lash outs via the media that we look at every day, whether it's
yeah,
social media.
yeah,
We see how our kids are responding,
yeah,
but yet we're still perplexed about coming up with solutions to help increase and amplify the possibility of growth for them. We're still
absolutely.
shutting down schools.
Yep,
We used to have truancy officers back in our day. They used to
sure
come
did.
and get you when you weren't coming to school.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We had teachers that cared.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
um, and I think a lot of those strong things that allowed for our village to thrive that were in
yeah,
place back then,
yeah,
we have lost the handle and grip on a lot of those.
yeah,
Being that our parent generation is getting younger and younger,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's something that we collectively have to work on being able to do our part. And when I say our part, we just got to be able to share what it is that we learn, share our testimony.
mm-hmm.
That's the least that you're going to do. Share your testimony with somebody. You just never know who it may help. You
Yeah,
never know what people are going through.
yeah,
And sometimes that means a great deal to someone that haven't been reached out to, or feel that they haven't been cared for.
yeah, yeah,
And it's so easy. The world put us in a state of mind to think about me, my, and I. I got to worry about me. I can't worry about others.
mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the worst thing that we can ever do, because I know for sure me or you didn't get to be who we are today by just thinking about if people were just saying just me, my, and I. We had a lot of
Yeah,
people that have invested in us and took the time to hold us accountable,
yeah,
and to expose us and provide experiences
yeah,
that allowed us to be able to thrive but challenged us,
absolutely.
right? And,
Yeah,
and, and those are the people that we need to show up and show out
yeah,
for our youth, because they don't see enough examples
right.
of those that are sacrificing to ensure that tomorrow is better for them.
Yeah, yeah. It's a definitely new day. It's when, especially when we were growing up, like coming up. Like my high school coach, Miss Michaela, right?
Yeah.
Like she pushed me and challenged me. I be a little crybaby sometimes, but she knew. Look, and the thing is, she knew the greatness that was in me. So it's like you have those people that are dedicated to the work, to ensure that, okay, I see something, let me go ahead and let me get on track, so and I think a lot of people just do a lot of talking. Like I can't take it. I can't stand it. Like it drives nails up my arm, when people are like, oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this and then don't do nothing. You doing all this talking. It's like a lot of lip service. So it's like whatever I say I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do it. And like with the adult prom and the fundraiser, like I do all that by myself. Like I don't, you know, oh, you need help. Okay, yeah, I need help. But at the end of the day, I know it gotta get done. And I
Mhm.
can't wait on nobody. At the end of the day, people I'm here to serve. I'm a vessel at the end of the day. And so yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, it just we just gotta step up and come to the plate, and it's my time to bat. And so and just do the work. Just do it. Don't talk about it, be about it. And
Yeah.
so I'm really, really for the people. I'm for everybody, especially for my clients. They know that I care. They be looking at me, I be like, you didn't meet okay, we didn't meet these goals. Oh, okay. So it's like, you know, I care. So, and I'm glad that you are in your position and you're, doing your thing as far as with Yumba and making things happen. So, I want to commend you on that. That is so awesome, and
Appreciate
that's
it.
that's definitely dope. And we need that. We need that tremendously. So, how? Because I know our time is running short. So, what new projects or partnership initiatives are you guys launching this year to further the mission? And how can people get involved with you guys and where are you located and all this stuff? I don't think we did that part in the beginning, but it's okay. But we here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, we're located in the Oak Park community, just west of Austin.
Yeah.
Um, what we're doing, I want to say great work,
Yep.
but I think there's a lot more that we wish we could do,
Yeah.
right? And with the help of resources, as we continue to expound on the work,
Hmm.
because our youth needs us now more than ever.
Yeah.
I can't I can't say that more loudly and more proudly enough. There's various things right now. The project that seeks us most is really our summer platform.
Okay.
Where we're doing transition. This is what we use for our transition time. So we
Okay.
have two platforms of transitioning. We call it Rising Ninth Grade,
Okay.
which is a 6-week platform for ninth graders to come learn about self-executive functioning skills while also being introduced to the high school, um, the college here up in our community, and as well learning some tools just how to be prepared as they navigate to that new transition spot where they're now the newbies on the block,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then we have an SCP sixth grader, which is now one of our newest platforms, where we're working with uh, STEM and
Okay.
creation art too. So we have partnered. Last year we partnered with the Museum of Science and Industry, where they come over to teach our kids about STEM because we know that that's one of
Yeah.
the areas that our youth are deficient in as well, irrespective of some of the opportunities. But we know math, engineering, all of these things are what helps makes our world thrive. And so to get them started early and a part of it, and I'll be remiss to say that all of our platforms are free.
Okay.
We never charge any of our youth to participate in any of
Mm,
our platforms because we don't want to create further barriers for
absolutely.
them. Um,
Absolutely.
so those are our biggies at the moment. The summer, trying
Okay.
to make sure that we and friends upon that downtime where our
Mm.
kids are very tenacious
That's
and
a good word for it. Yeah. Yeah.
spotting opportunities that we don't want them to be a part of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, being able to give them some fruitful um, things to do, learn their community, become more vested, but also, ensuring that support system that we talk about. Because when you talk about wraparound services, how do we connect them and introduce them to others that are at the next level, the next phase that they're
Yeah.
going to be a part of, so they can already feel a warm welcome
Yeah.
handoff in terms of how to navigate. Because at the end of the day, the goal is always to ensure that they are being proactive and not reactive.
Yeah.
So ensuring that they have those tools are very critical and key. And so we're always looking for partnerships, resources to help to better us collectively as a whole.
Absolutely.
As I said prior in the in my previous statements, we know our bread and butter, which is mentorship.
Yeah.
But there's kids that want to have different careers, right? So when we talk
Yeah.
about, is there a doctor that can come in to talk about health?
Yeah.
Is there a CPA to come in and talk about accounting? Different brevities of studies that allow our kids to be able to connect.
Mhm.
Whether that's a shadow day, whether it's intern, whether that's a workshop. I mean, there's a multiplicity of ways to be able to contribute outside of just money. Although, yeah, we would love to have money to pay
Yeah.
for our snacks and
Yeah.
stipends for our high schoolers that are without jobs, things of that nature. But your time is very valuable too,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
being able to share and who know who you may touch. So there's always a way to go to our website. That's
Yeah.
www.yemba-inc.org, and fill out a form that says that you're interested and how you can be a part. And one of our teammates will get back to you swiftly,
Okay.
because we're not trying to miss out on any opportunities, because
Absolutely.
our kids can't wait.
No, they can't. And also donate, right? Hit that donation button. That's what it's all about. They need, at the end of the day, things gotta, get done, right? Being put in place and you need funding. And look, that's why I'm doing the fundraiser, because I believe in your mission and your core values and the things that you're doing for the youth. So yeah,
Yes,
I
thank
want to,
you for that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I can't express enough how thankful we are for the opportunity. And yes, donations count a great deal.
yes,
You have to think about the services that we're providing, the
yep,
careers that we're providing these young youth that's graduating out of college to
yeah,
start their foundation in the social work field.
absolutely,
And that requires, a salary, things of
yeah,
that nature, right? Outside
absolutely,
of just the programmatic pieces.
yeah,
But being able to give us a fair opportunity to start off on the right track and continue to do the much needed work that's necessary. So, as well as visiting our website, there's also an opportunity to donate there too as well. So
yeah.
please.
Please, please, please. We really, really need that, right? Because it's so necessary. So, um, yeah. Any last thoughts or words for our viewers?
Yes, we need for everyone that's watching this to stand up, show up, be present, and do your part. We need to. Our youth need to see you in action. You're the best example that they can see to be who they aspire to be.
Yeah,
So as we
absolutely.
continue to walk around in our daily day to day, think about who's watching and what type of presence that we're putting forth to show them that it's okay to dream and that your dreams can be reality.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, everybody, make sure you check out their website. Tune in. Make sure you get your prom tickets, your adult prom and fundraiser tickets for Yemba Phantom of the Opera. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, I
Tell all
look
the
forward to
details.
seeing everyone there. I look forward to seeing everyone there.
Yes, you gotta come. You gotta come to the fundraiser. It's gonna be amazing. It's in Oak Park, the 19th Century Charitable Association, 178 Forest
Forest.
Forest Avenue. Yes, got lost. But yeah, I want everybody to get your tickets. You can go to www.socialworksunday.com. Thank you, Mr. Red, for coming on the
Yes, thank
show.
you.
No, I appreciate you. And until next time, see you guys.
Sounds great. See you there.
Yes.